Hey, I'm back. It's Amy Scott Grant, your favorite spiritual ass kicker. So excited to talk to you today. We are talking about, I love this. I love this. I've heard this for years. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but I love this because it's so true. And I see it time and time and time again. And I'm really present to this. And I think that's part of what makes me such an on point coach when I'm working with people before we get to their issues to clear, is that I can really listen and pick up on what they're saying. And it gives me so much insight into how they operate in life, how they operate in the world. And it is this expression: how you do anything is how you do everything. Boom. Mic drop. Speaking of mic drop, have you seen this? So exciting. The Lightworker's Guide to Getting Started. I'm so excited about this book. May 15th on Amazon. So, how you do anything is how you do everything. I love it. I love it. Let's just think about it. Okay. Well, let's take this video right now, for example. Maybe you are on one end of the spectrum. I would say if you're watching this video right now, so let's imagine there's a spectrum and everything in between. And on one end of the spectrum, you might be like, have your phone away from you, you have no distractions, you're in a room with the door closed, you've got a pad and paper and your pendulum, or a pad and pen or pencil, 3 Ps I call them, pen, paper, and pendulum, right? So you've got like something to write on, something to write with, and you've got your pendulum and you're checking in and you're totally engaged and you're hearing what I'm saying. And you're like, yeah, and you're like taking notes and you're like, I don't know about that. Let me write that down. Oh yeah, that resonates, right? So that's like one end of the spectrum, or we put them over here, right? Like that's one end of the spectrum. And then all the way here on the other end of the spectrum is the TV's going. You've got me playing in the background while you're cooking dinner or tending to the kids, or maybe you got headphones on while you're mowing the lawn. Like you're majorly multitasking, right? Or maybe you're driving, and so you just sort of have this audio playing in the background, and you're like, yeah, whatever. And you're sort of half listening and hoping that the message like seeps in through osmosis and your subconscious mind. Okay. So imagine those are the opposite ends. There we go. The opposite ends of the spectrum. Or you could be anywhere in between, right? You might be anywhere in between there. So let's just look at that. Just observe without judgment. By the way, I have no judgment. I'm happy you're watching, right? So, you can watch and be super engaged and get a ton out of it, or you can have it on in the background. I get it. We're all busy. Like, by the way, I do the same thing. There's some people's videos that I'm like, okay, shh, shut the door. I put on the video and I have a notebook and paper and a pendulum. I keep doing that. A notebook and a pen and a pendulum. There are other people's videos that I put on in the background while I'm working on other stuff. It just is what it is. I'd love to think that I'm always like the one that you're engaged with, but I'm a realist, right? Like we all have shit to do. So if you are watching, and if you're not, you totally just missed what I did. So, okay. By the way, speaking of engaged and awesome, I want to thank our dear friend Gannon, Gannon is a spiritual ass kicker level supporter, patron on patreon.com/Amy Scott Grant. And so Gannon is a big reason I appreciate all of our patrons at Patreon. And I especially appreciate Gannon because of her high level of commitment and support. So she helps us keep the lights on, keep these videos going, make sure they're nice and edited and clean and everything works and looks super good so that I can continue bringing this awesome content to you guys. So thank you all for being here, and thank you, Gannon. All right. So notice without judgment, just observe how you're engaged in this video right now. Is it playing in the background? Are you like, wait, hold on, I got to rewind because I don't know what she just said. What is she talking about? Or are you like fully present and engaged? Because I'm betting that how you do this is indicative of how you do other things in your life, So when people are typically not engaged in one thing, they're usually not engaged in other things too. So if you're doing 20 things while you're listening to me right now, you're probably also on your phone while you're watching TV or a movie. You're probably also have one ear listening to your kids while you're busy cooking dinner. You probably also catch up on your phone calls while you're driving, right? Like it's not common for somebody to be a multitasker in one place and not every place. And if you're totally engaged and focused right now, that's probably how you are when you're out to lunch with a friend, or when you're writing something or working on something for your business, or when you're driving, right? So even though there are some people that when I watch their videos, I have them on in the background. Usually, okay, so I could tell you one thing for me, how I do anything is how I do everything, is expeditiously. I really, really like things to be efficient and streamlined. And so you might have noticed wearing the same shirt today as I wore in the last video. Why? Because I batch record videos. Because rather than having to carve time out of my schedule to do my hair and makeup, to get the lighting right, to set up the camera, because it's not just like, boom, turn on camera, go, which is how Facebook Live is. It's like, boom, turn on the camera, you're live, you're done. No, you might have noticed these are edited. If I go off on a tangent or I like lose my train of thought for more than a split second, or my phone rings or something happens, you never see any of that because I edit that out of the video. So there's a whole process to my creating these videos for you. I set up everything. I have talking points, which are right when you see me, like look right here, I'm reading to make sure I don't miss anything on my little bulleted list. And then I stay on track and I stay in order. When it's done, I have to export the video. I import it into a whole other app called iMovie. We edit it. I'm saying we. It's usually me that does it. Sometimes I have help. Sometimes, sometimes I hire somebody to do it. Usually I do it myself. It depends on how fast I want the video to go out. But I'll record a batch of videos because I already have hair and makeup done and the lighting's good. So I might as well do a whole batch of them right now. So I sit down, I plan out topics in a batch. I do the talking points in a batch. I record the video in a batch. Then there's this whole process that happens on the back end with editing, cleaning it up, and then you have to export it. Rendering takes a long time, and then it's not hard, it's just time consuming. We render it, we export it, and then we compress it, and then we upload it, and then we schedule it for Patreon. Like all of that stuff happens. And it's much more efficient for me to sit down and do all of that in like a day per month. I usually shoot all my videos in a day. I got to do some video testimonials today. I got to put up stuff on YouTube. There's like a whole slew of video. Today is my video day, right? So you're seeing these whenever you're seeing these, but I probably, even if you see me in a different shirt, you can kind of tell by what color lipstick I'm wearing. But you might see me in a different shirt, but same lipstick in the next video, just because like you might get bored seeing me in the same shirt. It also helps me when I'm editing know which video I'm talking about based on what I'm wearing. But anyway, you don't need to know all this, but the bottom line is I like things to be efficient. So I'm efficient in how I record video. I'm super efficient in writing, right? Stephen King has very different writing habits than I have, right? I've read articles with him. If you don't know, he's a very influential writer for me, even though we don't write the same genre at all, but it's like his writing is definitely a huge influence on me. Like his style of writing, his voice, the way that he weaves stuff together is a huge influence on me as a writer, even though he writes horror fiction and I typically write self-help nonfiction. But he's a huge influence. He has a very different method. He writes 2,000 words every day as soon as he gets out of bed, like before he has breakfast, before he does anything, he writes 2,000 words a day. And those 2,000 words might go right in the trash, but it doesn't matter. He's consistent. Now, you can bet if Stephen King is consistent about writing, I mean, I haven't met the guy yet. I'd love to meet him someday. You can bet if he's consistent about writing, he's consistent about other things. I bet that he's really consistent about how he manages his money or how he connects with the person who manages his money, right? Because he's got a lot of money. I bet he's consistent with, if he and his wife have date nights, I bet they're consistent with it. I bet they do it every Tuesday or every, whatever. The guy walks. I know he walks, right? Because there was an article a few years ago, like he got hit by a car while he was out walking and stuff. Oh my God. Like, how bad would you feel if you hit Stephen King with a car? Jesus. But anyway, I mean, anybody, but like, especially you're like, oh my God, he's like a national treasure. I love the guy. Okay. But right. Like, so I bet he walks every day and probably for at least a certain amount of time every day. So he's very much consistent. So you can bet he's consistent in every area of his life, not just with writing. Okay. And for me, I would definitely say, as far as consistently, I'm consistently efficient. And when people, I can't work on projects and collaborate with people that are all over the place, because my life works the way it works and I'm able to get as much done as I can get done because I have order and efficiency. And if I don't have those, you can ask Andy, I start getting cuckoo, right? It's like I can't, I have to have order and I have to have efficiency. And this is true in every area of my life. It's how I parent. It's how I run my business. It's how I organize files on my computer. It's how, right? Like I even have a system. We're digital. We don't keep paper. So, because you guys know, some of you guys know, I did KonMari, I guess a year or two ago. And that was like the biggest epiphany for me was like, oh my God, we don't need to keep any of this paper. So I use Evernote. I have an app so I have efficiency. I can't say that I consistently every week sit down and do this like at the same time every week, but I know I have to have order. So if the folder that's full of things that need to be scanned gets too thick, it's like, boom. And I will sit down for an hour and like bang it all out, usually while I'm waiting for something else, while the kids are in a voice lesson or whatever. So order and efficiency are like all throughout my life. So what's all throughout your life? Now, we've been talking about positive things. Consistency for Stephen King. Do you love how I'm like putting me and Stephen King in like the same conversation? I'm like, well, so I do this and Stephen King does that, like we're like this. I just like, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I think you have to, on some level, you have to associate with those you want to be like, right? Those you want to emulate. So if you have to do that in your head, then so be it. And I'm also all about possibility, right? So I don't like everywhere. How I do that one thing is I don't sit here and talk to you about unlimited potential and possibility and then go downstairs and cry because that is nothing for dinner. No, it's like, okay, well, all right, well, let's see. Something's got to be possible. Let's see what we can have for dinner. We may or may not have had Brinner last night. I'm just saying. But you know what? We still had it. We still had dinner. We didn't go, well, there's no dinner. Screw it. I don't know what we're going to order in or what. No, there's always something, right? So how you do anything is how you do everything. So don't just notice the positive stuff. Notice the stuff that's really not working for you too. Here's some examples. Some people, when things are not working out the way they want them to, or when things get hard, their MO is to bail. This is too hard. I'm out, right? But they don't just do that in relationships. You can bet if they do it in relationships, they also do it in jobs. They do it in learning new things. They do it in even like driving around trying to find a place. You know what? Screw it. This is too hard. I'm not going. Just forget it. How they do anything is how they do everything, right? So maybe it could be like giving up too easy. It could be getting too attached too quickly to something. It could be self-sabotage. It could be setting yourself up for disappointment. And if you think, here's where it really pays to pay attention. Okay? Because if you think about this concept, how you do anything is how you do everything. Think of it like an iceberg, right? This huge iceberg. And like this is the part you can see. Because I know you might be watching this and going, no, Amy, there's this one way I am, and I'm only that way in relationships. And I will tell you, nuh-uh. There's this whole thing under the surface. You might look at it this way and think, but that only applies to relationships. Then that's not the root of what you're really doing. I always attract the wrong guy, but I have a great job, I have money, I like my life, but I can't find the right guy. It looks like, what's at the top of the iceberg looks like relationships don't work, or I can't find the right guy. But there's this whole other thing that it would really behoove you to know what the rest of the iceberg is about. The whole thing is ice. The whole thing is the same substance. So it might look like never find the right guy, but what might be under the surface is men are unreliable or relationships don't last. Because yeah, you might have a great job and you might have plenty of money and you might love your life, but maybe you've come to terms with the fact that long-term friends don't work out for you. If you've got an underlying belief that says relationships never work out, that's not just going to apply to your romantic relationships. It's going to be your romantic relationships. It's going to be friendships. It's going to be business partnerships. It's going to be all relationships. Okay, so it looks like you can never find the right guy, but what's really there is relationships just don't last. And you may have come to grips with that in terms of your friendships, but you're like, but I really want a romantic relationship that works. Okay, so pay attention and notice. How you do anything is how you do everything. So whenever you notice yourself doing something that you're like, why am I doing that? Or this does not feel good. Or boy, this is dumb. I don't know why I'm doing this way. Notice, where else do I do this? And pay attention, because it's going to give you like a whole world of insight in terms of what else is going on and what is the core, what is the iceberg issue to shift. Okay? So, and I really will urge you to observe without judgment, right? I know just a minute ago, I was like, that's so stupid. Why do I do that? But I wasn't saying that with judgment, because sometimes we're like, God, Amy, you're so stupid. I can't even believe you just did that. I don't mean that. Like, don't beat yourself up over this. Just be like, well, that's dumb. I wonder why I did that. That's so weird, right? Just observe without judgment, okay? Without making yourself bad and wrong. Just notice. It's going to give you tremendous insight, okay? And then you know what to shift, right? I mean, imagine if you think you got a problem this big in your life, and I'm telling you it's actually this big, like it's 90%. It's everywhere in your life. Imagine if that's gone when we clear that. Huh? Not only would it fix this problem that's been bugging you, but it's going to change everything in your life. That's why the work that we do is so important. That's why light working is so important right now. Because how we do anything is how we do everything. And so when we start fixing and resolving these core issues and we start eliminating these core blocks, our whole life works better and gets way more magical, and there's way more joy and satisfaction. Okay? All right. So I would love for you to post a comment and let me know what's coming up for you in this conversation. Like, what are you thinking about? What are you present to? What are you noticing? And maybe you want to make a commitment. Like, yeah, I'm going to start paying attention to my words or my actions or my thoughts about XYZ, or I have this one issue and I'm going to start looking at, where is that issue present? What's the common thread in all of my life around this? All right, so thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video with the same shirt or maybe a different one. Okay, bye.